What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fantasy Dome. And week one, it's almost done. I am recording this before Justin Jefferson and the Minnesota Vikings go and take on the Chicago Bears. But I wanted to get this video out to you guys as soon as possible. And today we're going to be talking about week one. We are going to tell you players to not be fooled by. We're going to be telling you players who didn't do as well that you should be completely fine with, and players who overperformed that you should maybe put a little hesitation on it. But once again, if you guys enjoyed week one, if you guys enjoyed this week of fantasy football, hit that like button down below. Give me a subscribe if you don't mind. And yeah, I think let's get started with this video. So we're going to first start out with the busts of the week. We're on ESPN's projections, all these, and we're just going to basically go down and talk about the biggest busts on here for this week. So again, all these guys are pretty good. The first bust we really have in this lineup is Joe Burrow. Now we can honestly talk about all of the Bengals right over here, because if you look at it, Joe Burrow 14 to 23 for 113 and a touchdown. Chase Brown for 21-43 and 2 touchdowns, as well as T. Higgins and Jamar Chase also not doing well. The only reason Chase Brown did well is because he got the 1 touchdown. So let's just talk about all these Bengals. This is one of those outlier games, right? I think that there's absolutely nothing you have to worry about with any of these Bengals guys. I think that all of them are going to have their weeks. I think Jamar Chase is going to have a nice bounce back. I think the big issue is their offense just was stagnant. Look at this. I mean, like, at the end of the game, punt, 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 touchdown. And also, you see this, right? Look at how little drives there are. The first Bengals drive took 7 minutes and 28 seconds. The Browns' first drive, 9 minutes and 50 seconds. So each team gets one drive in the time that it takes you to go an entire quarter and more. Granted, the drives they came back by then, but there were no big plays in this game. And that's not normal of the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that Cincinnati Bengals, they always start out slow. I know they tried to play their starters in the preseason to make them not start out slow. Doesn't seem to have worked, but they did get the win. And I feel like when they'll play a better team, like, who are they playing next week? I forget who they're playing. So they're going to be playing the Jags next week. The Jags are a much better team, so I think that the Jags versus Bengals will be a lot more of an issue. I should say, I have a bunch of fantasy teams on here, but I'm not going to show all of them. Just this one is just one of the Gridiron Gauntlet leagues that ESPN has. I just don't want to dox any of my friends, any of my boys. So, I mean, the team, I don't mind this team. It's a pretty decent team. I mean, Bijan obviously is good, London and Thomas. I honestly don't know how I got Thomas this late and London in the third. Also got Omari and Hampton in the fourth. Mahomes, I don't know what my bench depth is, but overall, I actually quite like this team. It's I think these Gridiron Gauntlet leagues, I think they're 10-teamers, but I don't know. And it looks like I got the win this week pretty much. I just have to Vikings defense has 0 points right now, and DJ Moore. So I need Vikings defense and DJ Moore to not combine for more than 29 points. That shouldn't be terrible, but we'll see what happens. But I'd honestly not be too worried about any of these Bengals guys. I mean, if someone wants to sell them, I would really buy them. Like, if someone's asking you, if someone's willing to be like, all right, I'm worried about Jamar Chase, like, give me a guy like I don't know, Nico Collins. We'll talk about him later, and we'll give you a running back like Kamara, like Nico Collins and Kamara. I'd be like, smash, accept that. Jamar is still a league winner, I think. Now we move on a little bit farther. Bijan had a good game. Baker Mayfield had a good game. Malik Neighbors was a little bit disappointing, but what people don't realize about this Giants team is they completely revamped their entire system, pretty much. Daniel Jones getting out of there was a huge help. And I don't care how well he played this week. Daniel Jones is not very good, and I'd rather take Russell Wilson over him 10 times out of 10. All that to say, we walk into the team who played in the NFC Championship last year, and while our offense wasn't good, it was a tough matchup. And I like to see what he can do against a decent matchup next week. CeeDee Lamb, not a bust, but we'll talk about him. He had a lot of drops this week. I'm not too concerned about him. He will catch a lot of those drops. I'm actually very glad because in my main redraft league, I did play against CeeDee Lamb. But yeah, overall, not worried about CeeDee Lamb. We're gonna kind of move through these busts a lot. I wanted to talk about the Bengals more than enough. It's kind of a theme. Like a lot of these big wide receivers who busted, right? Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Where are you? A.J. Brown, C.J. Stroud, Brian Thomas Jr. Call Brian Thomas Jr. He got 9 points. Say he's not that much of a bust. He had 2 touches the entire game, and he had the targets to go with it. So I wouldn't be worried about those guys, but they all did have really concerning performances. If I had to say the one that you're the most concerned about, I would say Brian Thomas, just because of all the players who got touches before him. With the Bengals offense, it was a matter of no one getting targets, no one getting touches, because that offense just was a little bit stagnant. With the Houston Texans, that's also kind of the same deal. No one was getting targets. The Eagles, this was a game where Jalen Hurts just checked it down to Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley a million times. He's going to have those games. He's also going to have those games where he goes off for A.J. Brown will go off for 100 yards. So I'm not concerned about those guys, but I am concerned about Brian Thomas Jr. because Travis Hunter had 7 or 8 targets. De'Ami Brown had 4 or 5. Brenton Strange, I think, had 5 or 6. And Brian Thomas Jr. had 7, but he didn't catch any. And if he has more performances like that, that ball's going to start going to other people because it seems like the Jags really, really like Travis Hunter. All right, I already spent too long on this segment, but I think the last thing that we're going to be talking about is, Bo Nix, Xavier Worthy could be an issue if he's hurt, but he should be fine right now. And I think that's about all I have for the bust section of this video. I don't want to get too crazy into it, but now let's look at the guys who topped the scoring this week. And there is one man who is way above the rest, and it is Josh Allen. And I think a really big thing that you guys need to remember from this week is that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are miles above any other quarterback in the league. Because all these other guys, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, they'll have games like this. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, they do this every week. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are the only 2 quarterbacks who you can consistently rely on getting 24 fantasy points a week. Sometimes they bust, but more than enough of the time, they're going to get you those points. And it shows based on how terrible this Bills defense was and how terrible this Baltimore defense was. They absolutely balled out, both of them. Talking about Justin Fields and Daniel Jones, there's one of these guys that I like a lot more than the other one, and that is Justin Fields. I think his rushing upside is better, and the Jets, his passing, 16 of 22 for 218 and 1 touchdown. That Pittsburgh secondary is not terrible. While Justin Fields is not an elite quarterback in any facet, and it's probably his last year, having the Breece Hall elite running back share as well, with Justin Fields, who's an elite rushing talent, really opens up the run game for Fields to get those yards. He had 12 for 48. And also, Garrett Wilson provides the best target he's ever had. And it shows. They played together in college. Garrett Wilson is someone, if someone tries to trade him off you right now, I'd say no way, Jose. Garrett Wilson has gotten better every single season, and now he just dropped 22 points in his Justin Fields debut game with a touchdown. I think he played brilliantly, even though he had that hit that ended the game. Who's going to hold on to that hit, right? But this offense is going to be cycled through Justin Fields, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson. And that's the big thing you need to know about the Jets. And because the Jets are really, their offense is going to be between those three players. They're going to be in shootouts like this a lot just because of how terrible their defense is. And how terrible their offense can be sometimes. But overall, I think that when you have an offense that is only solely between two guys. Breece Hall, talk what you want about Braylon Allen. He did get the touchdown, but Breece Hall, he's the clear first down back. And he's a clear second down back and the clear third down back. The only thing Braylon Allen has over him is that power back role. And honestly, Braylon Allen, he didn't have a good game today. Isaiah Davis, he had an okay game today. But Justin Fields, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, that's who you roster on these three teams. But the player that I would not be as crazy about is Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones, he made a bunch of good plays, but this game was more of the Dolphins being absolutely horrendous rather than the Colts being very good. You can definitely stream him as an option when you play bad teams. The Indianapolis Colts play the Broncos next week. No way am I starting Daniel Jones this week. No way. I'd rather pick up any other quarterback in the league than Daniel Jones to start this week. Now we go into Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers. The Baltimore Ravens have three guys all up here. Derrick Henry, you know what he is. He's an absolute freaking beast, and he is that good. Zay Flowers, yes, he put up his career high in receiving yards. However, we know how this happens. Zay Flowers is one of those players, and we're going to talk about another one of those players later. He's one of those guys who will drop 28 points one week, and then there's going to be the next week where the Ravens absolutely blow out their competition, and he has 3 targets because Lamar, Derrick Henry just run the ball over everyone. So Zay Flowers, honestly, you usually want to start wide receivers when they have a good matchup. I really want to start Zay Flowers when he has a terrible matchup. Like, when they go against the Chiefs, or when they go against, once again, like the Bills, they go against someone who can keep up with them and who can stop the run. That's when I'm doing Zay Flowers. That's when I'm doing it. But everyone in that Bills-Ravens game went absolutely nuclear. Mahomes and Justin Herbert, they'll do this. They'll do these games sometimes. They both had really good performances, 27 and 26 points together. And, once again, they're great quarterback options, and I'd say they're both starting quarterbacks. I think Justin Herbert in a 10-team league is someone who you should be starting. Aaron Rodgers is still not a start for me. I don't think he's even a waiver pickup. He threw 4 touchdowns yesterday, and he ended with 25.66 points. While Josh Allen had 4 touchdowns and had 38. Daniel Jones, I think, had 4 touchdowns, right? I think he did. Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns and had 29. Justin Fields had 3 touchdowns, had 29. Lamar Jackson had 4 touchdowns? 3 touchdowns. So, Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't have the rushing upside. That is his absolute capped ceiling. And so if you want someone with a more uncapped ceiling, you go with a guy like Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, or Justin Herbert or Mahomes. You really just do that. Because even Justin Herbert, who's usually a statue in the pocket, 32 yards on the ground. And that has a lot more yards for him. Keon Coleman, he's one of the guys I told you guys to avoid in our first video. I'm not ready to say I was wrong just yet, but from what we see in this Bills offense, Josh Allen had 300 yards. And when someone has 300 yards, someone's going to eat. And Keon Coleman was the guy who ate today. 8 for 112 and a touchdown. The touchdown was a little bit lucky as well. Bounced off of Dalton Kincaid. Amazing reaction time to get it. What I'm saying here is that Keon Coleman is not going to get this much production every week. He is going to be another guy just like Zay Flowers, who, when their team is who's on the ropes, that's when Keon Coleman is going to get his best points. But most of their touchdowns come on the ground from Josh Allen, on the ground from Keon Coleman. Not Keon Coleman, James Cook. So I think Keon Coleman right here is a little bit of a trap. Same with Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston he had a really good game, but once again, 579, 2 touchdowns. The 2 touchdowns, last year, we saw Quentin Johnston have a lot of these games. In 2024, Quentin Johnston would go games with 1 reception, and he'd go games with 2 touchdowns. Remember? And I think with the target competition, there's going to be Quentin Johnston's games, right? But Ladd McConkey's always going to get at least 8 targets a game. Keenan Allen comes back in, and he looked really good as well. And I just think Quentin Johnston is going to be one of those guys who, he'll have his 24-point weeks. He'll also have his 5-point weeks. And so I think that Quentin Johnston's a good pickup, just in the event that Quentin Johnston is good for the entire season. But if someone comes forward with an offer for both Johnston and Keon Coleman, I would consider selling them both. I don't really like to talk about rookies. Emeka Egbuka was the best rookie this year, but here's the thing about rookies. Rookies are so unpredictable, and they haven't carved their role out in this offense. Can I say that Emeka Egbuka looked really good this week? Hell yeah, I could say he looked really good this week. But can I say that he's going to be the best rookie wide receiver in this class? No. Just because it's been a 1-week sample size. For me, you cannot overreact on any of these rookies yet. You still got to stash them. And the good rookies that are on waivers, you're going to want to pick up in case they do eventually break out. And CMC looked fine. Puka Nacua. Deebo Samuel. This was an interesting one. Deebo Samuel with 7 receptions for 77 yards, 0 touchdowns, but with 1 carry for his 1 touchdown. Now, this was interesting because Deebo Samuel was kind of used in that gadget role versus the New York Giants. Well, Terry McLaurin was more of that deep threat. It seems that with Terry McLaurin not being the alpha number 1 wide receiver in this team, and instead having someone who can complement him, it seems like Terry McLaurin's spike weeks are going to be fewer. Terry McLaurin, he had that game. I believe he had 1.5 points in the championship weekend last year. And once again, that was a very big outlier in his game, but now with Deebo Samuel, I feel like those outliers could become more and more and more. Don't get me wrong, he's still going to have those great games where he scores 20, 25 points, but he's also going to have more of his games where he scores 4 like he did this week. Garrett Wilson, we talked about Garrett Wilson a lot already. I think he's an absolute stud, and the fact that he was being drafted in the 3rd to 4th round, like I got him at the end of the 4th round in my main redraft league, absolute steal for a guy who has only gotten better in every season, and he's had horrendous quarterback play. Let's talk Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams had a really good game against the Eagles. Pretty good run defense despite not having Jalen Carter. But Javonte Williams still isn't a guy that I'd go crazy for. 15 for 54 is not an elite production, as well as 2 touchdowns on the ground. I feel like his performances are going to be very touchdown dependent, in which I'm cool starting him, but he wouldn't be my first choice. Michael Pittman, I like him as a wide receiver 1, but kind of the same as all these other wide receivers. Last year we saw him have some good games and have some really bad games. So I don't think you can trust him to start to be that consistent guy, because he doesn't have, because the guys who you start that aren't very consistent have to have elite upside, and Pittman Jr. doesn't have that elite upside. He's a great stash player. If you need to start him at a pinch, he's really good, but he's not a guy that I'm putting in your starting lineup over a lot of these other guys. Hollywood Brown and Keenan Allen. Xavier Worthy seems to be fine, so I think Hollywood Brown, once again, good stash just in case Worthy gets hurt again because he is built like a twig. But yeah, Hollywood Brown had a really good game. A lot of drops too, but if you're getting 16 targets from Pat Mahomes, you're going to want to roster him. And then Keenan Allen, once again, had a good game as well, but got the touchdown. If he could do this every game, touchdown or not, he's a good and viable startable player. But it's tough because there's so many mouths to feed. I think that if I had to go in order of who's going to bust, Quentin Johnston would be the most likely. Keenan Allen would be the second most likely, and Ladd McConkey would be the third most likely to bust, as in like under 7 points. Because like even though Ladd only had like 13 points, he didn't have a touchdown this week compared to the other two. The next week, maybe Ladd McConkey has 2 touchdowns and Quentin Johnston has 1. Keenan Allen has 0. I think Keenan Allen's the one with 15 yards. Or 15 points, I should say. JSN, we already know he's an absolute beast. Let's talk about Travis Etienne. Now, when people talk about Travis Etienne versus Javonte Williams, these were kind of guys that people wrote off their careers, and they had really good first weeks, but it was so much different. Travis Etienne was 16 for 143 and 3 for 13 yards, averaging 8.9 yards per carry. He had that huge run. Travis Etienne showed out. He really showed that he still has it and that he is an RB1 in this offense. If you need a pinch and you need to start a running back, I am really, really cool starting Travis Etienne because he's on a great offense. I think the Jags can be a really, really good offense. Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. really open up the run game because you got to guard those two guys, right? They're both insanely good. And Travis Etienne really ate and got that big run. Imagine if he got the touchdown, he would have had 24 points. And the part that made Travis Etienne so good 2 years ago is he scored a butt ton of touchdowns. And that's what made him an RB1. He didn't necessarily have the best efficiency. But if he can keep this efficiency up, have a couple really good runs, I'm really good with Travis Etienne. And you should easily roster him. And I would trade for him, see if anyone can give him up. I'd trade for him over Javonte Williams in an absolute heartbeat. The rest of these guys, pretty decent. Dylan Sampson, receiving back. Once again, can't really say anything with rookies, but it's really too early to tell, especially with Judkins coming back. And let's talk about 2 more players I really want to talk about. And that is, we'll talk about 3. Kayshon Boutte, Cedric Tillman, and Juwan Johnson. Kayshon Boutte first. Everyone thought that Stephon Diggs was going to come in and be the alpha in this offense. Kyle Williams was going to come and be this alpha in the offense. People forget how good Kayshon Boutte was at the end of the year. He was averaging like 16 points a game at the end of the year for Drake May. And I hope that people are slowly starting to realize that Drake May's favorite target may as well be Kayshon Boutte. And even though Drake May didn't look that good this week, Kayshon Boutte still had 6 for 103 yards. And he's only 23. It's not like he's an old, crusty veteran. He's a really, really good age. And he's been developing. He's gotten better the last 2 years. And he was a 5-star coming out of high school. So he has talent. And he came out of LSU, wide receiver university. Drake May absolutely loves him. Kind of the same thing with Cedric Tillman. When Cedric Tillman was healthy, we really saw a lot from him in those 3 weeks where everyone thought he was the second coming of Jesus Christ, right? But you see Cedric Tillman again, 16 points a game, 16 points with a touchdown. Even 5 for 52 gives you 10 points. He's got a decent floor. And so if you need a wide receiver to stash, Cedric Tillman might be one of those guys that you could take. Same with Kayshon Boutte. And then tight end Juwan Johnson, 8 of 11 targets. Spencer Rattler is a check down machine. And Tyler Shuck will be too. If Tyler Shuck gets the opportunity, Juwan Johnson will still be good, and he'll have a check down merchant. And I think that, honestly, These three guys could easily be super solid options to pick up off of waivers. I think all three are probably on waivers. And I'd probably pick up Kayshon Boutte before them all because I think that New England has the best chance of being a good offense. But all three of them are really good. And I think that with New England having favorable matchups coming up, the Browns always going to be having to throw the ball. They're statistically the most pass-heavy team. And Juwan Johnson just getting a ton of checkdowns. I like all three of these guys, you know? So that's about it from me. Talking about who you should be picking up, who you shouldn't be picking up. If I had to go with some of these top players to pick up, Justin Fields, if he's on your waiver wire, definitely pick him up. Keon Coleman, I'd trade for him. Quentin Johnston and Aaron Rodgers, I would definitely fade. I would fade Javonte Williams. If you're trading for a running back, trade for Travis Etienne. Don't trade for Javonte. I'd fade Hollywood most likely, but you could definitely pick him up. And I would pick up Keenan Allen. Calvin Austin, I guess we'll talk about. We forgot about Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin, deep threat. If the Steelers' offense is clicking, he'll get the points. If they aren't, he won't get the points. Honestly, I wouldn't roster him unless he has another good week. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you take my advice, and I hope that my advice pans out, But overall, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.